Hi there. Hope everyone is doing good today. And I will look forward to getting started in just about 2 minutes or so. All right. So if you have any questions, make sure you ask the questions and you write them down in the chat box. And just think about what the civil method means to you and how it has helped you in your life in general. And then kind of go and take those positive thoughts and those positive outcomes into the area of abundance or money. And begin to think about your issues, if you have them, with money and what may be at the core of that for you. Just kind of see how we can all tie this concept of putting the method to work to help you with your monies as well. Okay, sounds good. We getting started just about in a minute or so. Hi, Silver Moon and Irina, and hello. There are some comments coming in already. Great. So Umit says that I started to see the changes in my appetite the first day I tried target image meditation. Very nice. And I guess that means that we're on. It's already 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock your time or Eastern time. Central time, Laredo, Texas. And so for us, it's 11 o'clock. And I know it's different times throughout the world because so many of you are coming from so many places. Edmonton, Canada, for example, and who knows who else right now. But I'm very happy that you're here, and I'm really happy that we can do this little workshop webinar together. And today's topic has to do with money and the method. And when we're talking about money and the method, it's exactly that. We're talking about how putting the Silva method to work in the areas of finances and monies and abundance can be a really positive thing. Israel, hello there. Happy that you're here with us as well. And I think to start with, I'm looking at some kind of interesting commentaries as far as money and the method. And one of them says, how do I pick the winning lottery numbers? We'll talk about that in a little bit because some people do really have a knack for that. And then Linda says that she took the course back in 93 and met me. And she took the Ultra seminar as well. So I'm happy to have you here. Thank you for being part of this. So happy to be here. Wow. Well, I'm happy that you're here too, Katie. So wow. Okay. All right. So let's get to the topic here today. And let me get started with his whole idea about picking lottery numbers, winning lottery numbers. Um, I have I have known people who have a real good knack for sensing numbers. When I was literally going to the office to work, there was one of our longtime employees, Nina is her name, and she would come in the mornings and she'd be rubbing her hands and she would look from side to side and say, I've got numbers. And every time she said that, we would all buy those quick pick numbers with her because she was right like 8 out of 10 times she was right, and maybe better than that. The only thing is that it was interesting because we weren't always sure whether it was the morning pick, the noon pick, or the nighttime pick. And on occasions, of course, the whole entire office would win some monies. We could bet $20 and get two, three, $400 from that. And it was real fun because we would all win. But there were times that we wouldn't win and we were like, oh, shucks. And we would let it go, the office members, except for Nina. Nina would play again those same numbers later on for the like a noon pick or the evening pick and maybe one more time the next morning. And she would come in with tacos for breakfast the next day because she won. And she said, sometimes I get the right numbers. I don't always get the right time. And the interesting thing was that my father used to find that to be the case as well in his research with using intuition that we learn how to build in the Silva method and in selecting lottery numbers. He was pretty curious about that because he himself had an experience where he had a vision of sorts, sort of a dreamlike vision, where he had right in front of him numbers, a series of numbers, 343, 373. And he thought, what are these numbers all about? And he wasn't sure what they were because he wasn't someone who played the lottery tickets ever. So just pondering on the numbers. Could it be a license plate? Is it an address somewhere? Is it whatever it is? And he met up with a friend of his. His name was Alfredo Duarte. I remember that. Later on that day, and when they met, he told Alfredo about his dream with the numbers or his vision, and Alfredo asked him, "Have you ever thought about the lottery?" Well, in the state of Texas where we live right on the border to Mexico. There was no lottery at that time, but there was always lottery in Mexico. So my father went with the encouragement of Alfredo and his friend, and they went to Nuevo Laredo, which is just crossing the border bridge and the inspections, the immigration, whatever. And they went over there, and he bought himself the numbers 343373, the lottery ticket. He happened to find those numbers. And so he bought what he was able to buy, which was a 343, I believe, here in the Nuevo Laredo area. And when the numbers did come to be called, that 343 number won a huge amount of money. So it was kind of interesting. So that kind of got him to think, well, can we figure out the lottery numbers when it comes to using our mind or our intuition? And he did a lot of experimenting with that, a lot of research with hypnosis, with intuition building, with uh, discerning numbers and getting the sensing. And I remember when I was a little girl, the research going on just that one topic, and they often got the numbers, but didn't often get the right date or the right time, as if there's a certain time mechanism that needs to be developed to tie it in with the numbers for the purpose of winning the lottery. So it's kind of interesting how that might work. But I can definitely say that if that's your bag, if that's what you want to do, you can focus all your attention to developing your intuition for just that, like a medical intuitive, builds your intuition to sense what's wrong with the human body, medically speaking, or someone that's in love relationships can really build their intuition to help others find their love match or whatever it might be. Certain people specialize in certain ways. You can certainly sort of specialize in that way if you put in all that attention. Nina, my friend Nina, she has this knack about just sensing the numbers. She's been buying lottery tickets for the longest time, as far back as I can remember. I don't always remember she being a winner all the time. Her skill in winning has gotten better and better and better through time, but she uses it a lot. I remember going on a cruise, and we were doing a civil course in a cruise one year, and every time she went to the casino, they had a little casino there. You could hear over the loudspeakers, "Oh, congratulations to Adelina for winning!" And she just had this knack about picking the winning machine, picking the winning numbers, this knack about just attracting money her way. And she has, quite frankly, attracted a lot of money. Helen Hatzel, who has passed away many years back, she wrote a book as well on how to win because she too had this knack about winning sweepstakes, but she applied to all the sweepstakes. She did everything that she could on her end to participate in the winning process. And so the more she put into it, the more she seemed to get back. And she kind of studied her style and how it felt for her, and what were her trigger mechanisms, and what was her nuances that indicated to her to either get involved with the sweepstake or, like in Nina, to pick certain numbers that come to mind and how they appeared in her mind. She wasn't always able to tell the exact process, but she knew that when she got that sensation or those feelings, then she had the numbers that would come to mind that she would follow through. So these are just some of the things that you need to really uh, develop as a sense, as your special sense in a specific area that you are most interested in. It can be done, but it takes your time and effort and willingness and your desire and your attention to all those details that are the inward little nuances and those things around you as well. Okay, getting back to money and the method. I'd like for us to really start thinking about our financial situation. How do you sit with money, or how do you relate to money? Because it's really something that I think that most everyone wants to have, and not everybody has it, it seems. Although there's a plentiful amount of it throughout the universe, there's so much abundance of all kinds, and yes, even money. And why is it that we don't seem to want, to be able to attract it into our living experience, being that there's so much of it? Didn't we just have a $1 billion plus lottery that was won by, I think it was one person? I mean, I know the odds were like 300 million to one, or maybe even greater than that, but somebody did get it. And the thing is, a lot of other people got the smaller kinds of winnings that were associated to that lottery. So the money is out there, but why is it that it's not coming your way? And I think that's some of the stuff that we want to discuss. What's blocking that flow of abundance, of wealth, of money, of dollars, of whatever it might be that you're looking for, however you view it? We put here money in the method, but yeah, money is one aspect of an abundant way of living. So when we look at or we think about money, we think about it in some ways as being abundance, or having some kind of abundance. And when we think about abundance, we're literally looking at the plentifulness of the good things of life, prosperity, having what we need as we need it, and having plenty of it to go around. And some of the things that seem to come with money are things like freedom. We seem to acquire more freedom with the amount of abundance that we have, freedom to do whatever it is that we might want to do. When you think about freedom, what comes to mind? The power or right to act, speak, think, or do as you want to do, as you please to do, because you have that abundance supporting you along the way. The idea that you're not having to be stuck or imprisoned, or just confined to any one specific area, because with this abundance you have the freedom to roam. Maybe it's staying or being physically unrestricted, moving around easily in your environment or greater environments throughout the world if you wish, or beyond that. So again, abundance seems to bring great freedom to our living experience. And who doesn't want freedom? I mean, of course, I think we all want freedom. Steve says that from the moment that you're born, God wanted you to be abundant. Nothing has changed. And I totally believe that. I really believe that that's the case, because um, we are the children of an abundant universe. We just need to dare to thrive. That for me is has always been a sort of just an affirmation that a friend of mine, who's also a Silva instructor, Joan McGillicuddy, kind of shared with me. I'm the daughter of an abundant father, an abundant universe. I dare to thrive, and I think that's something we have to make our minds up to do, in order to attract more of this abundance our way. Um, anyways, freedom is one of the great things that we are able to enjoy with abundance, or an abundant life or living experience. And it's also tied into something along the lines of the law of reciprocity. And the law of reciprocity basically states that for every action, there is an equal and or opposite reaction. So how does this play a role in our whole approach to attracting more monies? Well, a lot of times people ask me, what do I do to get more money in my life? And I said, give some of it away. And they look at me with a real startled look, and they say, what do you mean? I barely have any money. I say, okay, maybe that's true, but you probably have more money than most people on the planet. And that being said, you don't have to break the bank. You just need to give something from where you're at. If all you can give is 50 cents, then 50 cents it is. Yeah, if you can give $50, then $50 it is. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, and you're doing it genuinely, giving because you want to give to make someone else's life or moment that much better. So the law of reciprocity basically says, as you give, you will receive. But the only thing is that we need to look at, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, is that you need to start your giving, and you need to give from the right space within you, from the right space within your being. You want to give it because you want sincerely to give it, and not because it's going to give you anything back in return. But the returns are there. And the interesting thing is that even though a lot of times people give, they don't always feel comfortable receiving after giving. And this particular law, especially, does play a role in us enjoying abundance, because if you give, because that's part of how you get the ball rolling, is to give what you lack most. If you give more of your money, then whenever someone offers something back to you in return, you need to accept it, and just accept it graciously and gratefully. So I think it's really important that we do this. There's a lot of chatting going on here. Adela says, I think it's the lack mentality. I grew up hearing that there was not enough money, and just recently decided to reprogram my mind differently. And absolutely, that's very true. The lack mentality, which is a scarcity mentality, which is what we will be talking about and weaving that topic in and out of this conversation today, is very evident, and it's basically something that most people, or if not many people, have grown up with as they were listening to their families and those who were bringing them up, their caregivers, saying things like, "There's not enough money to go around. What do you think? Money doesn't grow on trees," and things of that nature. We'll never be rich. We'll never have enough money. Don't even think about that because you'll never be able to afford it. And all these thoughts, all these belief structures get stuck in our head. But we'll get back to all of these things here. And then Diana or Dina says, where barriers to money seem everywhere, what's the best way and the best thing to do to shift this? And that's basically going back to law reciprocity. When it comes to any kind of lack, there's always several things behind that. One is a belief structure or a belief system or a belief that is keeping that lack alive. And when there is lack, one of the best ways to break that barrier of lack is to give what you lack the most. I just mentioned that. In this case, we're talking about money. But if you find like you're lacking friends, or if you're lacking time, or if you're lacking love, then give some of it away. You're not going to get it unless you begin to give it, or be a friend to someone, or tell someone that you love them, or give someone more of your time, or be a good listener. Whatever it is, you really need to give what you lack the most, because that's where you open that door where the law of reciprocity can take effect. As you open that door to give, it's that same door that is open for you to receive. So if you need or want more money, then give more of it away. I think it was Joe Vitale who was saying that when he first started, and he's quite wealthy now, he's probably a multimillionaire. But he said when he first started this whole journey of life and bettering his life, the only thing that he could give away were books, because he had a lot of books. So he had books that had to do about personal growth and how to and personal evolution. And so he started to give some of his books away. And as he gave books away and created and opened that door, that was giving and ideas and thoughts and brainstorming with others and extending that helping hand to others. I mean, that's also very key here. Then he started to get a lot of that back. And little by little, his fame and his purpose started to expand, and I'm sure many of you have heard of him as of today. Katie says giving feels so good and gets things going. I think that's very true. And Kershette said, "Is money a state of mind?" What do you think? Do you think money is a state of mind? Where are you at right now when it comes to money? Do you have all the money that you want? Do you have all that you need? Do you have all that you would like to enjoy? If not, why do you think you don't? And it's there. And again, there's a lot of things that we can do to make it go, to get it going. But yeah, let me see here. Hi from Turkey and Istanbul. I love Istanbul. Oh my God, it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. And Linda says, sometimes we don't believe we deserve abundance because we were brought up poor. And that's where I'm going back with as far as the lack mentality, the scarcity mentality goes right back to what you're saying, Linda. We were brought up in a certain way with certain belief structures that aren't even yours. They belong to your parents or grandparents or whoever raised you. You just took them on as if they were yours and you bought into it. And because you bought into it, then that's where you are today. And a lot of us grow up with those kinds of thought patterns because where do we learn our greater amount of information about life, living, love, everything from is from our parents or the people who brought us up. And in that sense, we need to start making some real deep changes. I can tell you for certain. I mean, I myself have even being brought up by the parents that I had. They came from old school living. Mexico was a big influence in my family's life. We were Catholic by birth, basically, you could say, and that's what our culture kind of was all about. There was very strong certain kinds of beliefs that revolved around money and about an abundance, and there was a lot of beliefs that were stuck in a negative way to having money because people who don't have it tend to justify not having for it or not having it. Money is a root of all evil. Money is the reason that we have wars around the world. Money, will destroy people or destroy society. And if you believe that, then it's going to be true for you. The beliefs that you hold to be true are literally the things that create your living experience. If that's what you believe in, then why are you in this workshop? Because you have no place here unless you're choosing to change your belief structures about the things that you want and don't have. Now, if you're lacking something, I can assure you there's a belief structure that's running it. I don't care what it is. If you're lacking love, I can ask you, why don't you have a love in your life? And you'll give me a reason. You'll say, it's because. If I ask you, why don't you have money? Although you're earning a good living, why don't you have money to enjoy? Well, it's because. And we always point that finger. And I know you've heard this 1,000 times from me and many other people, but you always have these fingers pointing right back at you. It really has nothing to do with the things around you. It has almost entirely to do with you, where those other three fingers are pointing back at you. So you can justify and give me reasons and excuses for the things that you want most in life and don't have. But that's only showing me your limiting beliefs about those things that you lack and want. Think about it. Okay, so if you really wanted something, then you're going to need to start changing how your beliefs around that one thing and start becoming more of the person who allows those things into your life. I wrote in that email that we sent out that the time that I was working towards bettering myself in all areas of life because I had been at that time when I was young in a deep hole. I felt I was stuck in a sense. It had started with a relationship that I was totally involved with, and I was madly in love with this person who was the worst relationship for me. But I was madly in love with him, and when the relationship broke up, I fell apart because for me, he was everything for me, everything to me. And of course, I found out that wasn't true. But at that very moment, I believed it to be true. And so when it came to money, if he needed anything, I'd give it to him. So I was making money, I was earning money, generating money, but I wasn't keeping it because I didn't deserve it. But he did, but I didn't. I wasn't worthy of that because of how I felt when I was around him. I didn't feel worthy. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was there. Along with that came, poor eating habits, or I drank too much, or I was hanging around with the wrong people, and all these things were reflections of how I felt about me. And I came to a point that one of the first things I realized back when is that I needed to work on becoming the person I loved, admired, appreciated, and respected. And I had to look at really a deep evaluation about who am I? And do I even like myself, much less love myself? And when I started to work on this, then I started to realize that I had a lot of work to do, but I got to it, and I really wanted to create a better life for myself because the life I had created was lousy. I had a lack of money, I had lack of the right kind of friends. I had a lack of health emotionally. I was down. I had a bad self-image. I mean, I felt like I lacked in so many areas of my life, in the basic greatest areas of my life. So I knew I had the tools to work to put to work to make my life different and better, but I wasn't putting them to practice. I grew up with the Silva method, for heaven's sakes. The tools were there. I just didn't put them to practice. And it was when I put them to practice that my whole life turned around. And I started with the lowest hanging fruit. I started to change my thinking about me, about life, about everything. I started to think more positively. And I was very, very aware and mindful of when I was not having a positive state of mind. And I changed it constantly. I started to change my belief structures about everything that was going wrong in my life and how come and why I allowed it to happen. And I started to change my behaviors. That's the lowest hanging fruit because you're totally in control of how you think, believe, and how you live. And when you change those three things about any aspect of your life that you want and don't have, and money is one of them, when you change those three things, your relationship to those things is going to change. It's going to get better when your thoughts are better, when your beliefs are better and more positive, when your behaviors towards money are better, more positive. All of those things and your relationship with money will change. You will open the door to abundance. You will open yourself to receive. You will treat money more respectfully as you treat yourself more respectfully. You will think about it as a tool to grow with instead of the root of all evil. You will talk about it in a very positive, supportive manner, as if it was someone that you loved, appreciate, admire, like you love, appreciate, and admire yourself. So you really need to work on yourself first and become that person who that person deserves to have an abundant life and live that way. That person deserves to have the most supportive love relationship in the world. That person deserves to have perfect health. That person deserves to eat well and take care of the body because it's a precious temple. So when you come to love, admire, appreciate, and respect yourself, then half, if not 90% of the work is done in all other areas of your life. At that point in time, you begin to realize, wow, money is a mindset. Your love is a mindset. Health is a mindset. Emotional stability is a mindset. Happiness is a mindset. All of it is a mindset. It has to start with you. So again, there's a lot of things that are going to support us, and understanding things like the law of reciprocity can help us to not only give what we lack the most, but also receive joyfully when we are giving things back and to reciprocate your good actions to begin with. Christina says, one thing I do that I want to change is as soon as I get money, I feel it will be taken or stolen from me. So I have a false belief as soon as I get it, it's gone. Yeah, it's a false belief. So put it away, put it in a safe place, keep it there, and that's it. So if you already know what the false belief is, you have the power to change it. So knowing what the false belief is gives you the power to change that belief. But you've got to become aware of what are the beliefs that are running your life, basically. Um, Let me see. So, okay, great. But the law of reciprocity, I mentioned that because it does play a big role when it comes to our understanding of money and how we can begin to attract more of that. So we said, first of all, is to give some away and then keep the door open for you to receive the goodness of that gift that you're making to come back to you. And the law of compensation is for every action given, taken, or done, there will be an equal and just compensation. It's very, very close to the law of reciprocity. It's like what goes around comes around kind of idea that we often hear about. And these two laws, universal laws, they're called universal laws, have a lot of fluidity to them because the outcome is not predetermined and it's totally dependent upon the nature of the action that takes place. I mean, so if you treat a person with love, kindness, and respect, the chances are that you will be treated with love, kindness, and respect as well. But the same is true otherwise. If you treat someone in a very bad way, then of course it's that will come back around to haunt you, as we often have seen. So the law of compensation, the law of reciprocity, the whole concept of paying it forward kind of thing. These are all are concepts that ease your grip on the lack mentality. It starts to break down the structure of a lack mentality, of a scarcity mentality, because the more you practice paying things forward, you don't always have to pay things forward with money. You can always pay things forward with kindness, with time, with a good deed, with doing a favor for someone, with a gesture, an action. Doesn't always have to be money. But this concept of paying things forward it's a very beautiful one that's been around for thousands of years. It was made very popular by a movie called, I think, Paying It Forward. The story is about a teacher who gives an assignment to his students, and it's a young elementary group of children, and one of the students, decides to pay forward a good deed, and it catches on, and so it goes on and on and on. And the concept is that when a good deed is done to you, that you don't return the favor back to the person who did the good deed, but to pay it forward to three other people. And then each one of those three other people pay it forward to three other people. And those three other people to three more people. But as you can see, it just kind of, that goodness keeps spreading, spreading, going out and out. And if the chain were to not be broken, which of course it always is, it seems to be. But if it were not to be broken, then when it gets to the exponential value of 27, I think it is, you would have reached every human being on earth. Interesting concept. Again, but it's something that you can't always pay it forward anyway. So usually when I give money to someone, it is a gift. And they'll often will say, well, I'll pay it back to you as soon as I can. And I say, no, don't. I don't expect you to pay it back, to me. I just expect you to pay it forward. And you'll figure out the right way to pay it forward to three other people. And they're like, what? Really? Like, wow, thanks, kind of thing. Not that I don't give money personally to friends like that in the sense or people in need, but when should it happen, I would be happy to do so. We do give a lot of to charity, so, and that's one way of paying it forward as well. But at any rate, it is a very interesting and kind of a nice concept that helps break down the uh, mentality thinking, the scarcity. I'm sorry, the scarcity thinking. So if you're going to start any assignments today, which I would recommend, and you're going to see the difference that besides working with the lowest hanging fruit of your changing your thoughts, your beliefs, and your behaviors about money, would be to give some money away. Just give it away to someone in need, and give it because you really want to give it. And then just be receptive to goodness coming your way. So many times when someone wants to do us a favor or help us out in some way, we always say, oh, no, that's okay, I can handle it. No, that's good, don't worry about me, I've got everything under control, I'm fine. And we reject that help. Well, if you're going to reject that help, then that door or that window is going to just shut down, because it's the same door to which you give that you're going to receive. So keep, that door open by allowing yourself not only to give wherever you can, but also to receive. Okay. The second thing to break that lack mentality, that scarcity mentality, is to look at the law of reciprocity and compensation. So begin to, not only give and receive, but do good things that are going to attract good things towards you. And then, of course, paying it forward, doing good deeds to others as well. So the more you start doing this, the more you're telling your brain and your mind and your soul that there's enough to go around. Because the scarcity mentality is one that basically says there's not enough to go around. The scarcity mindset makes you keep things of value to yourself. It makes you believe that there's a limit to what you have, do, or think. Instead of believing that there's an endless supply. No, you think there's not enough. It's not enough. I remember a long time ago, a friend of mine asked if I could help him create some meditations for a program that he was putting together. I said, absolutely. And he wanted to do like 50 meditations, a lot of meditations. I started working on some ideas based on what he was talking about to show him how to structure meditations because he wasn't sure how to structure them. There's a certain specific structure that goes behind a meditation. And I kept creating these meditations, and they were real fun and pretty good. I really liked them, and giving them to him. Some of my office staff would say, "Wait, why are you giving your meditations away? You can sell them. You can do this. You can." And I said, "Why would I do that?" He asked me for a favor, and I said, "Yes." So I'm going to give them to him, but he's going to be making money off of them. Well, good. That's the idea. I want him to make money off of that, and I gave them away. And I thought, gee, the more I created meditations, the more ideas I got for more meditations. It wasn't as if I was running out of ideas or thoughts or approaches. I just got better at making them. And I was able to make them so quickly and easily. And I was able to put meditations together on any topic or be very specific or very general. It didn't matter. It was almost a training. It allowed me to get better at what I was doing. So never ever think that because you give something away, you're going to have less of it. But if you have a scarcity mentality, that's exactly what you're thinking. You believe that there's a limit to what you have, do or think. And if you keep that belief, you're always going to be stuck when it comes to money or any lack that you might have. The scarcity mentality keeps you stuck in fear because that fear says, again, there's not enough to go around. There's limitations to anything. And it's not only money when you have a scarcity mentality, it tends to influence all areas of your life. It makes you think that you only have one shot for success and you only have that one shot and that's it. And if you mess up that one time, you're a failure. But see, that's not true. The more you do something, the better you get at doing it until you get to doing it right. And then people want you because you're so good at what you do. And that's where confidence comes in. You need to do what you do, what your weak is at, in order to develop confidence in doing that one action or that one skill set. If you're not a good speaker, you're never going to be a good speaker until you start to speak in front of people. And the more you start to speak in front of people, the easier it becomes to speak in front of people. If you're not a good dancer, you're not going to be a good dancer until you get on the floor and start dancing. Or the same thing about painting or anything. The more you do it, the better you're going to be at it. And sometimes we don't have that natural talent or ability, but we can teach it to others. And there goes another wonderful skill that you have to share with the rest of the world at large. So that being said, I think I'll just go back and forth. If I see something on these on the chats here. Um, Linda, you're welcome. She's going to have to be leaving soon. Uh, Healthy Quadrant says that she took the Civil Mind back in the early 90s with Dynamite in Canada, and these bluing, nice. And that you don't no longer have any of your workbooks. Okay, well, if you write to us, we might be able to give you some links to workbooks, okay? I love the hair color. It's getting lighter because my gray keeps coming through. So thank you very much. Let's go back to the scarcity mentality at this point in time. The scarcity mentality also makes you think that you have, okay, we said one shot for success, and makes you feel like a failure whenever you don't always win and things don't always work out. The scarcity mentality can be a very painful way of living and creates a lot of unnecessary fear, anxiety, depression, tension, because it's restraining, it's burdensome, and we don't need that kind of burdensome. And then there's also that belief. A lot of people have the belief that you can't be spiritual and abundant at the same time. Where in the world did you get that? I have heard that throughout my life, especially being a Silva method instructor. It's almost as if it's a sin to be a wealthy Silva method instructor. Like, really? It doesn't matter how hard you work and how much you travel throughout the world and how many thousands and thousands and thousands of people. If you have this type of, of abundance, that it's not right, something's not right in the picture, that there's a problem between spirituality and abundance. That's a terrible belief to have. It's like as if it's more spiritual to deprive yourself of material wealth than it is to experience abundance. Believing that is like believing that it's more spiritual to experience illness than it is to experience an abundance of health. Really? How come we can't relate the two things are the same thing? The universe gives us everything, and we can have it all if we choose to. And abundance and money and wealth is only one aspect of all that the universe has provided for us to get or attract in our direction, but we're just not accepting it, especially if we have beliefs that you cannot be spiritual and abundant at the same time. I mean, really, because spirituality is who you are. You are spiritual in nature. We typically say we're spirit, mind, body, emotions, and intuition. Fine. Can you see, hear, taste, touch, and smell your intuition? No. If it's intangible and cannot be detected by the physical senses, it's probably then spiritual or non physical. Can you see, hear, taste, touch, or smell your emotions? No. You see the expression of it. When you smile, you know that person's emotions are happy, but can you see happiness? The energy of happiness? No. It's an emotional experience. Can you see, hear, taste, touch, or smell your mind or your intellect? No, because it's spiritual. Can you see, hear, taste, touch, or smell? You're a spirit. No. The only part of you that you can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell is the physical body itself. That's it. So 4/5 of who you are spiritual in nature because spirituality is who you are. And at the very core of your physical body, you have a body that's comprised of organs comprised of tissues comprised of cells comprised of molecules comprised of atoms, which you can't see, hear, taste, touch, or smell, atoms that are comprised of subatomic particles and subatomic particles that are comprised of pure energy that's spiritual in nature. Spirituality is who you are, and there is a connection with everything that exists in our inner and outer worlds, in our mind, and we see and cannot see that's connected to you in a very definite way. We need to be open to all possibilities as to how abundance can come towards you because it's there for you. We just need to allow it to come. Whether it's a gift, whether it's because of work, because a lottery, because it doesn't matter. It'll come to you. And and it's important that we understand that because we're all connected at this very, very subjective spiritual nature level that exists. And money, although it has a form that we've given it in paper and coins and metals, it's just a concept. It's just intangible type of concept, and that we've given it some kind of a tangible value. But the idea is, I give something in return. The law of reciprocity in action. I give something to get something back. And again, sometimes the giving is not always in money. All right. Let me see who's writing here. Thank you. Thank you for all these things. Some people say that they're really in a bad state financially and getting out of bankruptcy. How do you do that? No, you don't. You can't just think it away because the way we've blended money into our living experience is now tied into a lot of other things that involve you from a both physical and spiritual aspects of you. The different roles that you played when it comes to your decisions about how you treat money and what you do with your money need to be, or the actions. So there's a lot of, yes, the thinking, the beliefs, but the actions that are both physical and of course also subjective in nature, they have to change when it comes to dealing with money, getting out of bankruptcy. Um, I remember a time when I had no money and I had I owed a lot of money, and I had two little girls, and I was like at a point where I wasn't sure what to do, and so I needed to just make a decision. And I wanted to get out of having no money and to having abundance. And so I started to call everybody I owed money to. And I said, I can only afford to give you $25 instead of, 250 or 300. I can only afford to give you $25, but I promise I'll do this. And I made my promise and they said, fine, just pay up on something and let's work on this together. And little by little, with the banks and all the people out money and credit cards, you know, paying up all my debts, all of them. And I tore my credit cards, threw them away. I was only working with actual money that I had. I started to set aside like 10% to go into a little bit of a buildup of a little cash fund. And meanwhile, I was paying off everything I owed. And I was doubling up on my work. I said, a sure way that I know that I can attract more income is by working more hours. And so it started to pay off in that way as well. And I stopped buying things and I made a plan that I stuck to. So you can get out of it. I've gotten out of it. I know a lot of people have gotten out of bankruptcy, but you've got to do what you have to do in the physical world and not just think it away. You have to change your thinking. You've got to change your beliefs and you have to change your behaviors when it comes to money and really make a plan to get out of that bankrupt situation that you're in. It is very doable, and you just need to confront it and take it one at a time and stay the course, stick to the plan, because only you can get yourself out of that mess, and you can do it. And I know that you will do it. But just, I mean, you're here for a reason, and Kashette, you can do it. Okay. Let me think here. All right. This most, oh, thank you. So sweet. So sweet. Great. Um, great, great, great. Oh, there, you're welcome, Patty. Okay, great. Okay, a lot of good stuff, a lot of thank you, thank you, thank you. So when we're going back to making our own personal assessment, we want to look at what's important to you. We want to make that assessment and say, what do I value most in life? What do I stand for? What makes me the happiest? What is the most satisfying and fulfilling to me? What's most important to me right now? What are the 10 most important things that I value most in life? I mean, if you know that, then you begin to know where to put your attention, and you begin to start on building the path or the road that's going to get you to where you want to be financially or money wise. But you got to get to know yourself better than anybody else. I mean, I think it's pretty clear for you, and you probably already know, even if you're at a point of bankruptcy, where you made your wrong decisions. I mean, let's face it, we make wrong decisions about a lot of things, and we get the results from that. And if we don't change those behaviors or the way we act on certain things and the kind of decisions we're making, then you're going to be doing the same thing and fall in the same boat over and over again. And when it comes to money, it's no different. It's just absolutely no different. Once you start, being on the right track of you becoming the person you love, appreciate, admire, and respect, and you treat money the same way as someone or something to be loved, admired, appreciated, and respected, then you're going to do the things that are required to allow the money to hang around you and to grow. Because if you love, respect, appreciate, and admire money, you're going to treat it that way. And if you treat it that way, it's going to want to stick around you and it's going to want to grow for you. But if you're going to mistreat it, throw it away, spend it on stupid things that are unnecessary, then it's going to go away. It's going to be going and going and going until it's totally gone. So once you get that idea clear in your mind, then when you do, you're going to see the big difference. And it's going to start showing up in all ways, in many ways in your life. Um, I think also one other thing that you need to also, when it comes to respecting money, is look at your wallet and how you store your money. Is it in order? Is it look nice and smooth? I mean, are they like from the ones to fives to tens to 20s, 50s, and hundreds? Or are they just jumbled in there any old way? Are they crumbled in your pocket? I mean, how do you treat money? Because if if you don't respect it, why should it respect you? And so and I know it's a sort of energetic relationship right there, but yeah, that needs to be part of it and part of the consideration that you need to have yourself when it comes to money. And you pretty much already know what it takes action wise. You know that why you got to bankruptcy. Maybe you had some bad dealings. Maybe it was because of the pandemic. Maybe it's because you weren't prepared, you didn't see it coming, your services, went down, your restaurant had to shut down, whatever it might be. But these are the times that we should say, I'm lucky I have the Silva method, and I'm lucky to know that I'm a creative being, because now I need to create other ways to attract money into my living experience, doing the things I love to do. I remember a story that one of a Silva instructor told us, and he basically said, and he lives in Cyprus, and he was saying that when they were young and growing up, all parents, of course, want their children to be highly educated, go to college and get a great education, become a banker, a doctor, a lawyer, or an Indian chief, whatever, and get your degree and make a lot of money. And the children sometimes would say, yeah, but I love to dance. I want to be a dancer. I want to be an artist. I love playing the guitar. I want to be a musician. And they said, no, there's no money in that kind of thing. But I love to cook. No, 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 no. You're going to go become a doctor or whatever. And then when the financial crisis came around, that at that time had hit Greece and Cyprus and all these countries very, very badly, and they haven't really quite come out of it ever since then. All these businesses were shutting down. I mean, people couldn't afford to pay for all these expensive services, and people were losing money, and they were not making or earning this money. And parents would go to their children now and say, you remember how much you like to cook? Why don't you start cooking and catering the food, like for gatherings and people, and make some money from your talent as a good cook? Or why don't you go play music here, or go sing there, or go there? In other words, relying mostly on what the children love to do and found purpose in doing, and always had them there within them as a skill. So I know that there's times that it seems like things outside have contributed to the hardships you might be having financially, especially having gone through a pandemic. But again, there's gifts to be brought along with that pandemic or those hardships, if you just open your mind and think outside the box and then look in a different direction. And mostly the direction you're going to look at is within. What are the different skill sets that you have? What are the different gifts that you can keep offering or selling as a service? During the worst times of the pandemic, I think that's when I learned that's when I learned how to do more things online, teach classes, do webinars, create products. I learned how to record through the GarageBand, how I learned how to edit, how to create music for background sounds. I learned how to make videos. I learned a lot of stuff I didn't know how to do before the pandemic. And so I was busier in a different way. I wasn't going out on the road. I stopped doing live seminars, but I was providing more services to more people in this other way that brought more abundance. And I was home with my husband and my family. I mean, I love now being home more than I ever did before, because I've really enjoyed this kind of new life that I've learned to create because of the hardships that we were all going through. So all I'm saying is that you can't just shut down. This is a time when you have to apply everything that you've learned and stick to it harder and more than ever, because your attitude about your life, your situation, about money, about your talents, your gifts, your skills, about your creativity, all of these things have to pull you through the hardest times. And if you have all these skill sets and all these tools and you do not put them to practice, shame on you. Then why you ask any questions? And why do you want me to give you the answers when you haven't put the effort yourself? I can give you a lot of information, but I've also applied a lot of that information and I saw it work. I experienced its effect in my life, to the point that we have the most amazing life that we're living. Our family is doing great. Our grandchildren are wonderful. My husband and I are very happy and thriving and healthy, and we worked at it. We just it wasn't just think it away or think it to you. It's you have to do the do. You've got to do the action. The behaviors have to be there that are supporting the beliefs, and the beliefs have to support the behaviors, and the beliefs and the behaviors have to support your thinking, and your thinking is going to support your beliefs and your behaviors. And once you got them all positive, proactively, and working for you, life is going to get better. It's that easy. But you really do need to work on those three things, and especially when it comes to money. Now, the abundance mindset points to the new chances and opportunities. This is what Silva has taught you, how to look at those new chances and opportunities. That's what a new belief structure or system or a new belief allows you to do. Look at new chances and opportunities. They're all out there. And then you act on it. It relieves the pressure when things don't go exactly as planned because you know, because it's there's something probably even better ahead of you. And if that's your aim and your attitude, and that's what you expect, expectation leads to results. What you expect, more than likely, you're going to get, or better than that, if that's what you believe. Abundance mindsets allows you to see life in a more long-term perspective because you know what things are going to get better and better and better. You know that you've got the bull by the horns. You know that you're in control of your life and you're creating it every step of the way. You know that. And it helps to perform your performance every step of the way because you can only get better. And you create abundance, just like you've created the bankruptcy, just like you created loneliness, just like created illness. You can create the opposite and you can create abundance. You're living in a universe that is made up entirely of energy. You yourself are spiritual and energy. You're spiritual energy. You're energetic. The universe is infinitely abundant and it can never, ever run out of energy. It just transforms itself. It is not going to run out. And because the universe is ever expanding, changing, and growing, so are you. When you're in sync with it, what you choose to manifest is entirely up to you. You can choose to have a lot or you can choose to have a little. It makes no difference to the universe, just to you and your thinking. Holding on to fears, guilt, and past regrets makes one less deserving. And you can't open the door to the abundance that you're desiring, all this that you've been desiring all this time. Get rid of that fear, guilt, and stress. Forgive. Forgive you, uh, your past self, past behaviors. Forgive those who have hurt you. Let go of that guilt. Let go of that fear. Release yourself, free yourself, because freedom is part of being abundant. So let go of those fears and guilt and past regrets. Do a lot of forgiveness if you have to along the way. Abundance is never created based upon who is deserving of it or not. Think about it. Abundance is just for those who allow it to happen and allow it to come into their lives and understand the relationship you have with this energy that you're one with. Abundance is created through your beliefs, intentions, and the expectations of it. And that's what we keep saying. Your expectation is powerful, it leads to outcomes. Financial freedom is when you have the power over your fears and anxieties instead of the other way around. And I think it's something that we always need to keep aware of. Um, and I think in closing, I think it's really nice for us to think about a way to switch our perspective about abundance and money and how we can be one with it by answering some simple questions like, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? I mean, really think about it. If you knew you could not fail, what would you do? And I remember hearing that in a movie. I think it was called New Year's Eve, and this young man is talking about. I think his father saying that to him, and then he said, "Well, okay, then now that you know, now go get it or go after it, because there's nothing that's going to stop you from getting what you want if you know you couldn't fail." And you're not going to fail because you put all that you know into practice and make it work. The other question is, what would you do if all work paid the same? Then why aren't you doing that instead? It's little by little develop a new skill. By the end of the year, maybe you'll be skillful enough to just to go at that and enjoy your life even more. So, what would you do if all work paid the same? And usually, there you find your answer of purpose. and describe what your perfect life would look like. If you can describe that perfect life, that means it's not the life you have right now, unless it's already perfect, but it's a future life that requires you to change how you think, believe, and behave. Think about it, because you cannot have that life, your perfect life, with the same thoughts, beliefs, and actions or behaviors that you have right now. They have to get better. They have to be modified. They have to change polarity in some way in order for you to get and attract and create that perfect life. So I want you to think about these things and start building, especially on your relationship with money. Start really looking at money from a different way, one that's empowering, one that is to be healing, one that is to be nourishing, one that is to be supportive of you, one that is that involves security and peace of mind and ease and enjoyment of life and living. A relationship with money that is there to be applied to help others and to extend your hand to others, because you never achieve success on your own. You always achieve it in relationship to others. So don't go on this journey thinking you're on it alone. As you get better, you want to share the goodness with others along the way, because that's how we all grow together and keep evolving in a more and more positive way. So, as your assignment from this little discussion that we've had today about money and the method, basically, let's go back and look at ways how we can begin to dissolve a scarcity mentality or mindset and transform it into one of abundance. And one, we said, start by giving what you lack the most and allowing yourself to receive the goodness that comes from giving, and allow yourself to receive it joyfully. So you give joyfully and you receive joyfully. Be very mindful also of that interaction, because it's a subjective one, and it will require your attention, and that way you can make points of reference along the way. So as you're giving, you're signaling to your mind, brain, soul, being, that there's enough to go around, and that you can always create more of it. And it makes you feel good. It feels good to give, and you're helping others who are less fortunate than you. And if you can't give of your money, then you say give of your time or your talents. So time, talents is also a way to give. The other is treasure, which is money. So time, talents, and treasures, those three T's, you can always give in order to receive more. But you also begin to weaken the scarcity mentality, and the mind and the brain and the soul and the spirits begin to realize there's enough to go around. And that's fine. I can continue to give. So the law of reciprocity, give. The other one, to pay it forward, and work with the three lowest hanging fruits, which is how you think about money, what you believe about money, and how you behave towards money. All right. So treat it with respect. Become the person you love, admire, appreciate, and respect, and come to love, admire, appreciate, and respect money, and build that relationship with those qualities, with money along the way. And you're going to find that you're going to start shifting the energy around, and your behaviors mean if you have to work a little bit more during these hard times or troubling times, do so. So what? It'll only make you better in whatever else you're doing. If you need to work smarter, then do that. If you have to learn a new skill, then learn the new skill. But get to it now, because in a few weeks or a couple of months, you're going to be skillful enough to maybe grow some more income, generate more abundance, attract more of it your way. I mean, who knows? But give it the opportunity to create that life that you so want and desire. That future life, that's your life to live, a life having it all. It's yours to have. It is your birthright. Okay? Let me see. Are there any questions here? Hmm. I do have courses in Spanish, but not as often as I would like to. Oh, Chrisette says, thanks to the pandemic, I found you. Well, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. I don't do one-to-one sessions. If there's a thunderstorm, okay, that's right. Steve says, how true. If there is a thunderstorm, check out the panorama. There may be a rainbow. And then thank you, Laura, for gifting me The angel that you are, I had decades ago when you taught us an advanced course in Toronto. Your gesture was unexpected. I'm holding it in my hand right now, forever grateful. You're welcome. And then I came here today to thank the Silva Method, Jose as well, and me for continuing the legacy. The courses are life changing. Thank you. On the contrary, thank you very much. I really appreciate those comments. Ashmet, Laura, you are a legacy of your great father. Keep on the valuable good work. The videos are great. Thank you. Um, you are so welcome. We all continue to do this. We look forward to providing information for you whenever we can. We try to do this at least once a month, just that we can make sure that you're practicing, because practice is very important, and that you stick, you stay the course, that you continue to apply your Silva tools and techniques, and that you continue to feel confident with what you're doing and continue to grow and evolve. That's what we all want to do, continue to grow and evolve. And it's really important that we're here to encourage you to practice. More than anything else, we want you to practice, practice, practice. And remember, it's not complicated. It's only complicated if you make it complicated. Be gentle with yourself, be easy on yourself. And again, even to this day, the things I continuously work on is how to make sure that my thinking is always clear, positive, proactive, and futuristic in that way, that my behaviors open doors of opportunities, and my beliefs open doors of opportunities, and my behaviors keep me happy, strong, young, vibrant, and lovable. And so for me, it's all very important to continue doing that. And I expect that you will be doing the same. So let's keep in touch. Let's keep going with these workshops or these webinars or these little talks that we have, graduate group meetings, and all these wonderful other things. All right. So I want to wish you all a great rest of your day and continue to do better and get better, better, and better. Let me see here. I haven't had live seminars in a long time. I might get back to them sometime soon. I'm not sure yet, but you will see me live on these webinars anytime. Okay. How do I bring you to Israel? Send me a plane ticket. I'll be over. I'd love to go. And good. I'm glad that you heard what you needed to hear today. Wonderful. And keep working on your manifestations. You just might get one. You're welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, just some you misplaced some of your workbooks lost. So yeah, just send us your email and let's see what you lost, because I don't know what it is, or if I even have them. But if you've lost some of your workbooks, then send us an email and what were the workbooks that you lost. And if we have them, we may be able to give you a link to the workbook itself. Okay, so let us know. Okay, great. Mirror the mind is always a great technique for you to utilize anytime for attracting anything. I love mirror the mind. It's life changing. It still is life changing for me today. But I'm telling you, if you really want to start breaking that scarcity mentality, start giving. That's one of the most easiest and most quickest ways to see the energy shift from a scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset is to give. And if you've never been a giver, it might not be easy in the beginning, but it's going to feel good from the very start. And then you're going to find that, oh, I can give more. I can give a plate of food to my elderly neighbor. I can give some of my pick up the trash for them, or I can, it doesn't matter. Just give. Okay. All right, great. Well, guys, I think we are kind of done here. You can send us emails to our website, laurasilvaquesada.com, or we have a place there to contact us. And if you even leave an email on the site here, then we can take a look at it from here as well. Again, let us know what you're missing as far as the workbook is concerned, and we can see your emails if we put them here as well, because we usually keep a lot of this information. Okay, so I guess we're done here, and keep us in mind. Keep us connected, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. And if there's something that you want us to talk about, then give us those ideas, and we'll be happy to do our best to meet your needs. But keep on practicing. All right, guys. See you later. See you soon, and we will do it again soon. All right. To all things getting better, better and better.